The era of becoming conscious means become conscious. Means become conscious of the beginning step. I'm terrified of speaking the truth. I'm terrified of recognizing the truth. I'm terrified of truth. You start there. You start there of saying, I want the world to be the way I want it, which is why I decided there's no such thing as evil. Yes, there is. What are you, crazy? Are you crazy? We do not get to redesign the universe because we've gotten too big for our arrogant britches. We don't get to say, I'm no longer part of nature because I've decided that we could throw all the trash in the ocean and it doesn't matter. Everything matters. Everything matters. That's what becoming conscious is about. It's realizing that everything matters. Which means everything you do in the positive makes a difference. Every prayer you say, every act of goodness, which means nobody should let you off the hook. Especially yourself. It means every time you look at a person, every choice you make, every single thing you do for yourself and for others, in the silence of your room, makes a difference. When I give a talk now, at this stage in my life, the things that used to matter to me, which is what will they think about me, don't matter anymore. That's number one. Number two is it's really important for me, vitally important, that I communicate to you how important it is to be alive at this pivotal time in human history. That you get that, and that you do not waste a moment of your life. Of your precious, precious life. That if I had one wish, my wish would be to go into the future to see what historians write about the time we are living. What will they say about how we are navigating, how awake we are, about the privilege it is to live at a time when one whole system of life is getting dismantled, and it is in our hands and in our minds and in our imaginations and in our souls to imagine and make the choices that will construct the next era of human civilization. I'm going to say that again. The next era of human civilization. You cannot afford to sleep through this. You cannot afford to tell yourself, I'm too old, I don't have enough money to make a difference. If you are alive, you are meant to be active. If you're alive, you're meant to be an active agent of change. If you're alive, you are meant to understand the power of what it is to be a conscious human being. That the whole point of introducing a word like consciousness, a word that wasn't used prior to World War II, is to get that the rules of being human are under transition, are under change. That the rules, that the evolution of our species is undergoing such a profound transition and transformation that it is happening within you so fast, so dramatically, that the choice to transition has been taken out of your hands. It's no longer up to you. It has nothing to do with you. The only thing that you have any influence over is the quality of your journey. Not whether you are on the journey, but the quality of the journey. That's it. To wit, We are now multisensory. We have entered the age of energy. We are together living in that age, and you have no choice not to. You can say, well, I don't like it. That would be a damn shame, but that's where you are. You can say, I'm sorry, but I just do not like this age of cell energy and high technology. I don't. And where's that going to get you? Exactly. But the world's most global migraine. But it's too late. We've crossed that Rubicon. And we are there. We are at an age where we are globally connected through this thing called the internet. And I'm going to hit a pause button. For the last 60 years, 60, a thought form has been, we've been playing around with a thought form. A mystical law that has sort of downloaded from the cosmic soul that says, everything is one, all is one. We love to talk about these laws, but we actually don't like the application of them except when convenient. Usually in the hospital emergency room. I tell you, all is one, all is one, all is one. Uh-huh. But I don't want to apply it to politics. I don't want to apply it to global decision making. I don't want to apply it to the use of environmental resources. I want to be very discerning about, I want to apply it to the people I like, but not to people I don't like. Because that's how conscious I am. I want to decide the bar of my consciousness, and that's the way it is. Now, the thing is, with the all is one, what you're saying is, it's a truth, but I don't want to believe it yet. I don't like it. I don't want to believe it yet. I don't like it. I don't want to believe it, and that's the way it is. But the problem is it doesn't change that it's a truth. And it doesn't change that it's kind of like being an addict. When someone says, do you understand that taking heroin's bad for you? Yeah, but I don't care. Because I like it and I want it. And whether or not you like it doesn't change the truth that shooting up is just a stupid thing to do. So you can continue doing it, but it's a stupid thing to do. And now you know it's stupid. Now you know the truth of it. So I don't care what your... Is that me? So I don't care what your personal preference is. That's the thing about this era we live in. That is me. Maybe it's this side I should stand on, but the thing is, I don't sleep on this side of the bed. Okay. The thing is, whether or not we like what we're discovering about truth now, those rules have been engaged. And they are commanding what's happening to us, around us, within us. And if you look through these rules, the world is going to make a lot more sense to you. Because that's all there's to it. Whether or not we like it is no longer the issue. Whether or not we want to evolve into a global community is not the issue. It's happening. It's happening. And that's all there's to it. And part of the way it's happening is the internet. And that's all there's to it. We have technically made ourselves global. And that's it. And part of the way we've made ourselves global is through weaponry. Are we so stupid that we really would destroy ourselves? Are we that stupid? Okay? We better hope we're not. We better hope we're not. But we've entered the era of energy. And now we have the energy to do the unthinkable. The unthinkable. And we have to start thinking about that. What the? You know what I'd say if we weren't all together. But we are. Am I touching something or doing something? That's my kind of man. It's never me. All right, now? Okay, all right. Okay. So I want to introduce a word to you that I really want. I want you to kind of reflect upon this, and that's internet. Just as we have an internet, we have an internet. And if we could see clearly, just like Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious, those two words are kind of big and vague. But if you could imagine yourself wired like the technology, if we could imagine ourselves wired like the technology of the internet, and we actually experience it in our hands. We actually experience it. Ah! Sorry. I'm a bit emotional. Electrocution does that. All right, I'm just going to stand right here. I'm just going to stand right here. All right, that's it. All right. I'm sorry about that. I go to Teresa, hover over me, God. Hover over me, God. I adore that prayer. Hover over me, God. Okay. All right. Do you feel like going into the world of imagination? Really wild imagination. All right, I want you to imagine we're sitting around a fireplace. And we're talking about what's going on now. What's going on now? And I want to give you the most extraordinary answer I could give you. Now, we're all sitting around a fireplace, and you have a hot chocolate. And we're just speculating, because nobody can prove so many things. But in our intuitive gut, we have to be guided now. Because in this world we're going into, this world of energy, this world of what's out there, what's happening to us. If you stand very still, Really stand still. If I had you as a spiritual director and you were my spiritual directee, I would sit with you for a moment in prayer and say, what do you feel around you? What do you seriously feel within you? And some part of you might say, I feel the world changing in a way I've never felt it before. What do you feel? What do you feel? You might say, I feel the atmosphere is pregnant with transition, and I don't understand the signals. What kind of signals? You might say, well, everything familiar seems to be evaporating. Like what? Well, the ground beneath my feet, the ground beneath the societal feet, things I used to trust, things I used to think would never evaporate, seem to be evaporating. And I don't think we yet know where we're going. And why is that? Why is that? How could two 12-year-olds stab somebody? Did you hear about that? How could that happen? Is that actually the new activity of evil in a way we haven't ever seen it? Have we so denied the presence of evil that we no longer teach it exists, and so it's got free reign? It can do whatever it wants because we don't recognize it. So let's go back. Let's go back to the design of what we are, not who we are, but what we are and how we've been designed. Let's just go back, and I want you in your wildest imagination. I want you standing in this moment and realize that part of what's happening is we're about to join the galactic community. We are not the only planet with life. We are standing on the edge of the beginning of a new galactic civilization. That is unbelievable. And do you know that even in Rome, in the Vatican, they are now gathering astrobiologists, Jesuits who are astrobiologists, astrophysicists, theologians, philosophers, forming the construct of the first galactic theology, because they know there are civilizations that have been hovering over our earth. And that at some point, it's going to have to be acknowledged. And the first day, the first second that it is acknowledged, every functioning theology will crumble like sand in your hands. Because every theology is earth-centric. Earth-centric. God was born here, says Christianity. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, does Andromeda know about it? Or the Sombrero Galaxy? We'll get to that. Are there missionaries out there? Are the Jehovah's Witnesses there? Which ones are we shipping there first? Do they have the calendar? What happens on December 25th out there? Do they have the Julian calendar, the Roman calendar? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's right. Uh-oh. What you feel in your collective gut, what we are signaling each other on the internet, is our myths are crumbling, and we haven't replaced them. We haven't replaced them. What we are signaling on the internet is we are withdrawing our faith from familiar mythologies, but we haven't found anything to invest our faith in that we trust. And a faithless humanity is in a dangerous position. A very dangerous position. You can say, no, I have faith. No, we don't. No, we don't. Because we're not sure of anything in the heavens anymore. We have this fragile sense of we can go into churches, but we actually don't know what we believe anymore. We don't know what we believe in. We are very sure of what we don't believe in. But that's not faith. That's not a true theological creed. That where you can lock in and say, oh, does this feel good? It gives me a sense of awe, a sense of sacred wonder, a sense that when I close my eyes and say, pour grace into me, that I know what that means. And number two, I do not have to ever ask the question, what is my soul? What is prayer? Does prayer work? I am so past those questions. They are so far behind in my history, I cannot see them. Doubt, I don't know what that is. We are not those people anymore. But there was once a time when humanity was. And I want to take you back there. So just come follow me for a moment. When I was, I returned one day, not so long ago. I was reading the Old Testament and some of the other scriptures, and because there's two things that guide me, and that's history and theology. And when I was reading the Old Testament, don't I sound like a fundamentalist preacher? Wait a minute. Okay, it's off me. All right. Let me just be really clear here. Religion to me, all religion's a costume party. I have no use for any of it, but I have all the reverence in the world for mysticism. And so I squeeze the juice out of the orange. And the juice is the mystical tradition wherein you find the truth. But the juice has to come in a package, and it's called the orange. But as I read the traditions, I note stories of angels. Now, consciousness evolves. And I'm talking to you about the evolution of consciousness in us. And that there was a time our parents, perhaps if you're young enough, your grandparents, before World War II, they would not have used the word consciousness, chakras. You speak it fluently. My father would have never said, I got to go get my aura puffed. I've got to go get my chakras massaged, right? I need a past life regression. So preposterous, I can't even conceive of those words coming out of his mouth. He fought in World War II. He was a Marine. I mean, I can't even picture. Anyway, it's so ludicrous. Okay, we speak this fluently. This is called, we've evolved. We have different words in our head. Words are power. Words are your power. Without words, you are nothing. You are powerless. You have no way to navigate your inner world. You have no way to construct a way to enter a crisis in you. What are your tools? If you don't have the elegance of philosophical words or theological or grace, with what tools do you travel into your crises? What have you? The tools we are being given now are the elegance of mysticism, the elegance of the soul. Words deeply, deeply rich. Like the word consciousness, to become conscious. What does that mean? Okay, to understand that within us is the realm of the soul that has consciousness. Okay, so let's go back. Consciousness needed to be born. There was a time when it was descending, just like time needed to be created. Time needed to be, a relationship with time needed to be born. Human beings were not born wearing watches, nor were they born thinking, how valuable are you per hour? This nonsense, this preposterousness is something we created. When we go back and back through centuries, that thought never existed. There was never this notion that somehow there was this thing called time, and I have to weave it into my cell tissue so that I attach something, and I need a word for it. I have to find a word for it. Time didn't exist till I had a word called time. So let's go back even further. Without this type of consciousness, going back further. Let's go back to the time of, let's say Druids and Julius Caesar. I adore Caesar. This was a time when the veil was very thin. This was a time of, and let's add the Jewish scriptures. Let's go back to the Old Testament. Let's go back there. Let's go back to the time of Abraham. And when you read that testament, you have stories of angels coming physically to the tent where Abraham was in the desert. When I read that, and I thought, you know what? That really happened. Why did that really happen? Because that's how thin the world was between the celestial world and this one. They hadn't yet created doubt. That word didn't exist. They hadn't yet created that it couldn't happen. And their whole world was about what is my world and what is that world. There was nothing in between. So of course it actually happened. Consciousness was such that there was nothing else but this world and that world. So angelic messengers were actually that, sent exactly that way. And when it read that 140,000 were sent to help the Israelites against the Canaanites, that's probably exactly right. And when the Israelites were told, listen, put some blood on the door because I'm sending an angel tonight, and it's not going to be pretty, and he's going to pass over and take the firstborn. That probably is exactly what happened. Now, what the consciousness has in common is that this was not a consciousness of personal choice. This was a consciousness when the divine gave orders and you followed. What had not evolved and what would take centuries to evolve is the concept, the consciousness of co-creation. That heaven would say, I'm going to reveal to you that you participate. I'm going to evolve you to co-creative consciousness. It's going to take many generations. But in the meantime, you take orders, and you're going to see what happens when orders are not followed, because this universe I have created is structured and held together through laws. Laws. It's not random. I don't decide, well, I think I'll hang a planet here one day and a planet there the next. No. Everything is ordered. Said Yahweh to Job, where were you when I created this universe, Job? I hung everything in place just so. Total perfection. Julius Caesar stood on the battlefield. Picture this. Picture this. I mean, smell the earth. Picture the centurions. Picture them. I love reading Caesar's Gallic Wars. And he's on, surely you read it last night. I love it, really. How weird is that? because he's recording wars from thousands of years ago. And right there in Gaul, right? And he's the only one that ever recorded actually interacting with druids. All these people today just make nonsense up. But he actually saw it in action. And he was fascinated by what? Their power, because he actually saw it. Again, it was the era when the veil was very thin with nature. And nature's actual consciousness between you and the trees, between us and the forest. That in fact, it's a very conscious realm. And what Caesar recorded was, when the druids go to battle, the wizard, the druid, goes out to the field first, and with his wand, always made of oak, he summons first the power of the trees of the forest to go to the battlefield first and somehow do something to the battlefield to disorient my soldiers. And when I send the soldiers, he says, bring me. I ordered my soldiers to bring me the druid. So he has a conversation with the druid. And he says, what do you do to the forest that my men don't come back? What do you tell the forest? The forest. That my soldiers, how can that forest defeat my soldiers? He couldn't stand the fact that somehow the druid made the trees do something that disoriented his soldiers, and they couldn't find their way out. He couldn't stand it. Let's fast forward to us. What is consciousness? It is us becoming aware that somehow there are laws. There are rules to this business of life that we are living. It is not random. We can't do whatever we want. We can't just order the universe the way we want because we want to live a certain way, because we want life to be a certain way. We can't step out of nature and declare ourselves a species not subject to the laws of nature, but rather here to command nature. That we study and observe nature, and we can mutilate it. We can morph it. We can do whatever we want to nature because we are different than the laws of nature. That we can frack an earth, we can do this, we can do that, we can do whatever we want to the structure of nature because we are not part of it, and therefore we're not subject to the consequences of nature for doing what it is, because we are the superior species. We are not. We are simply a species. Make no mistake about it. There's nothing superior about us, even though we would like to think of it as such. So long as we share this planet, we are merely a species on this planet. And that's it. That's it. Telling ourselves that we are superior is simply a false ego trip that has gotten us in a great deal of trouble. This is a planet, this is a universe. What is happening in our evolution of consciousness is that the mythologies that have held together religions are disintegrating now, and it's going to cause great disruption, and it is causing great disruption in all global societies. I'm going to hit a pause button now. And I want you to look through the lens of your imagination. And in my role as a medical intuitive, which I've been for many years now, I've studied, looked, wondered, and been very passionate about why people get sick and why they don't heal and now why they do. And all of this is leading to what I want to say about the earth. And what I know to be truth, not true, but truth, is that in order for a person to heal and to understand what's going on in them, you have to become very impersonal about yourself and what you're going through. You have to become very, very, very impersonal, as if what you are going through is something everybody goes through, and now you're going through it. That's the only way to understand and get through what you're going through. If you tell yourself that you're the only person that's ever gone through anything, you'll never get out alive. You will never get out alive. And that's the only way you can understand what's truly happening now. Because if you cling to the need to have things work out a certain way because it's your way, your religion, your country, your safety, you will never, ever, ever, ever understand what's happening now. So I'm asking you now to look at the earth and take out all the countries. You are now not looking at countries at all. There are no countries on the earth. It's simply a planet with land and water. Get the countries out. And it's only through looking at it with land and water that you can get the inevitability of geological changes. You are no longer saying, but they can't happen here, why not? What are you thinking? What are you talking about? This is a time of high geologic activity. Anything can happen. Look at the logic of it. You only see the logic if you see a planet without countries. You only start denying the logic when you put countries on. And then you go blind. Then you go blind. You only start denying the logic of the disintegration of religious mythologies when it's your religion. And you cling to it as if it can't happen. Of course it's happening. This is why there's a rise in fundamentalism. Fundamentalism always rises when there's changes, and the changes are inevitable. And people don't want the changes. That's what makes fascism rise. That's what makes fundamentalism rise. We feel it changing, and we don't want it to change. But why is it changing is what you have to understand. It's because different rules are coming in. And that's where consciousness comes in. That's where you come in. The inner rules of the spirit. And we are moving to a time now where if we look back at the time of, let's say, the Druids, the time of where angels visited physically, where heaven commanded human beings, because it was incomprehensible in the tribal era that anyone could choose anything. They simply took orders. We are now living where the idea of, I think I co-create. I think I choose and there are consequences and I co-create. We have felt for half a century now this impulse of I need to pull away and discover within me the power of choice and consequence. I need to discover that my attitude has the capacity to make a difference in my health. I need to discover the power of emotions in my body and in my health and in my life and in the ability to create or destroy relationships. I need to discover what happens in does love make a difference in disease? Does vibration matter? We've entered the energy era where we are learning about a level of consciousness that says, I, individually, me, have a level of authority that says I'm living in a sea. I'm not just matter. I'm constantly co-creating with a great deal of power. I need to learn about the nature of power that I have, how powerful this is, what choices I make have authority, how much, what happens when I make negative choices, how do I drive this ship that is called my life? How do I do this? What happens when I love this phrase out of Buddhism? When I attach myself to spectacles that have no meaning, but I react and I attach myself. Does my health pay for it? Do I lose power in my psyche? Is that how come I'm chronically depressed? Have I attached myself? Or does that affect my colon? I'm starting a new 6-week online course this Wednesday, and it's on the energetic causes of illness. And it's on my website at myss.com it's live. I broadcast from my home. And I take questions and I do readings. So it's exactly what I go through is this. So if you're interested, go to the site. But this whole idea, this whole concept has just been born now. And if we look at where we're going with this, the next level is if I have power for myself, what happens if I plug into the internet and to the collective internet? What could we do together? Here are the laws. What is in one is in the whole. To make a difference in the global community. To make a transition. To create a quality of life that we've never experienced before. Now, as an individual, what's happening in this era, if I just had you in a classroom and the subject alone was, how different am I, is being multisensory, what is that? And has that made me different? Has it changed my immune system? Has it made me more sensitive? Has it changed how I am in relationships? I mean, has it? Does it make me relate differently, or does it make me want a different type of relationship? Is that why I have a lot of conflicts in relationships, or find that I can't be in a relationship for a long period of time? Is that why? My answer is yes. But you have to understand it. You have to understand it. If you credit ordinary stress in your life, you don't understand how you function now, because you have yet to understand yourself as a multi-sensory human being. Because we have yet to recognize that's what we are now. We've yet to actually recognize, accept, define that we are fully intuitive. We still treat intuition as this mysterious thing. People still say to me, well, my grandmother, they still go with this silly myth, my grandmother taught me to be intuitive. Oh, she did not. You may have visited her 2 times. Shut up with that stuff. Get out of here. You're lying to me and yourself. Go away. And what happened to your mother? You know, where is she in this mix? Here's what's true. Intuition is a natural part of your sense. You have gut instinct that kicks in, and it awakens as you grow. 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. It's your survival mechanism. It wakes up as you are taught the laws of conscience. Did you hear me? Conscience. What is right? What is wrong? What is good? What is bad? Stealing is wrong. Lying is wrong. Bad, big bad. Not little bad. Even if someone says, do you mind this? If you do, you say yes. You don't cover it up. Lying is wrong. Don't redefine what a lie is. Lying is when you don't say the truth. We now have a society that is so filled with lying, it's become our common language, so much so. We have an archetype that's called the whistleblower. What does that mean? Oh my God, that's someone who tells the truth. Shoot him, he's a criminal. Can't take it. We now have people whose job it is to sit in the middle of a married couple because they need to actually say something truthful to each other. It's called a marriage counselor. Because it's been 20 years since they've said an honest thing to each other. Now, just a minute. What is it you want to say to your husband? Well, I don't like sleeping with him. Okay, I'll tell him. Just a minute. The thing is, now she doesn't mean it personally. She doesn't mean to hurt you. But what she really means to say, and it takes an hour. Get a different bedroom. Beat it. Okay. Get out. And you're so stupid. Divorce. Out. Done. What's wrong with telling the truth? We can't do it anymore. You want to know why you're diseased? Truth. Dishonesty. Nobody ever comes, by the way, to my workshop and says, you know what? I'm in chronic pain, chronic back pain, arthritis. Why? Because I'm dishonest. It's as simple as that. Haven't said a truthful thing in years. Blame everybody else for it, though. I'm really good at that. And I'm a complainer. My God, do I complain. I am such a 4-star flaming butane bitch, but I blame everybody else. Don't have a problem with that. And especially my dead mother. She's not here to defend herself, but hey. It's popular. Popular. Got a seat for me? Nobody ever does that. They come in and say, I'm striving to be more conscious. Conscious? Oh my God, you haven't said a conscious thing in your life. Start with conscience. How you doing with right or wrong, good or bad, positive, negative, right? Okay, anyway. I'm just saying. Don't run before you can walk, people, right? Huh? Okay. Ugh. I've been at this a long time. The era of becoming conscious means become conscious. Means become conscious of the beginning step. I'm terrified of speaking the truth. I'm terrified of recognizing the truth. I'm terrified of truth. You start there. You start there of saying, I want the world to be the way I want it, which is why I decided there's no such thing as evil. Yes, there is. What are you, crazy? Are you crazy? We do not get to redesign the universe because we've gotten too big for our arrogant britches. We don't get to say, I'm no longer part of nature because I've decided that we could throw all the trash in the ocean and it doesn't matter. Everything matters. Everything matters. That's what becoming conscious is about. It's realizing that everything matters. Which means everything you do in the positive makes a difference. Every prayer you say, every act of goodness, which means nobody should let you off the hook. Especially yourself. It means every time you look at a person, every choice you make, every single thing you do for yourself and for others, in the silence of your room, makes a difference. Why? Because at the end of the day, these are the rules. There's the physical world, and the next level is you've learned to speak energy. But you know the thing about energy? You've learned to say, I have an energy field. And you go to energy healers. And you talk about, your energy chakras and your energy and all that. You know what I've learned? There's no healing that can be done there. How about that for a shock? Zero. None. Energy work can make you feel better, can do a lot of benefit, can maybe help you get to a point where you can put something in remission, but it's coming back at some point. Or you will live in the fear it is, and that's not healing. If you live in the fear something's coming back, you are not healed. It's when you say, what did I have? And have no memory of it. Then you're off the hook. The next level is when you realize energy is really grace. And you get to grace consciousness. The difference between energy and grace is that you get that this is all sacred. Not just the people you like, but God forbid the people you don't. Because that's when you have to change. And that's called your spiritual path. The spiritual path is not about, I get to cherry pick what I want to do. I think I'll have a massage. I think I'll read a book. Oh my God, are you kidding? It should be that. The spiritual path is walking on and realizing, oh my God, I am so unloving. It is unbelievable. The spiritual path is about realizing I can't bear the truth. I can't, but I have to. I don't say an honest thing at all, and I have to. Friends ask me if I would keep my word, and within an hour I've broken it. I hate them for it, but I don't change myself. What's your spiritual path? Get a hold of yourself. And that part of you that betrays others and criticize them for betraying you. That's a spiritual path. And every time you do that, you become someone who's developing your highest potential. What's your highest potential? To become someone who wouldn't think of betraying another person. Wouldn't even occur to you anymore. Wouldn't even occur to you. Which means the tasks your soul becomes capable of. become more substantial in this universe. That changes the coordinates of your life. Changes the coordinates. You are changing the coordinates of what you are capable of in the laws of creation. And you have to trust that. You have to trust that you become your highest potential. You're not given it like some reward because you've suffered or because you've been humiliated as a child. Who hasn't been? I'll smack you around now if you want to experience it again. Shut up. Get over it. Go put your head in the toilet for 7 minutes and we'll talk. I'm so sick of that. It's just... Ugh. I know, and what you have to know, and this is about personal and impersonal. This is an impersonal universe. No matter who you are, you drop a cup, it's going to fall. The law of gravity is impersonal. It's cause and effect. You make a choice, it has a consequence. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter how much money you have. That's how God structured this universe. What is God? God is law. Law does not have a religion. Stop with that nonsense. It is not Christian. It is not Islamic. It is not Jewish. It's not. Stop it, stop it, stop it. That stuff is paperwork. You should read it as history. But if it keeps you from loving another human being or being respectful to that person, you put your head in a toilet. Because what this era of consciousness is about is you getting over that stuff. Get over it. Because what we need from each other now is that realm of grace where, like it or not, we are all connected on the internet. Like it or not, we've got to realize that. Like it or not, what we do to the least of each other, we're doing to ourselves. We may not like it, but it's the law. What I do to you, I've done to everybody. What you do to yourself, you've done to everybody. You like it the other way around? What goes around comes around. You better honor that, because you know what? That's what it means to become conscious. And if you can't, your spiritual path is to bow your head, take your shoes off on sacred ground, and figure out why you can't. That's your spiritual path. You don't get to let yourself off the hook anymore because you had a bad childhood. You know why? Because then you get to say, all I do every day is plug myself in as a bitter person. Who are you helping? This is the choice we get every morning. You either get bitter or you get better. That's it. Today, will I be bitter or will I be better? And if your healing is difficult, it's when you bow your head and say, I need all the grace I can get, God, because you've given me something difficult. It's difficult. And I don't know why. But if you've ever said there's karma, or if you've ever said you've given me something that's really, really rugged, then send people to me that will help me heal. Send them. I need angels. Because they're real. You don't eat angels for little sweet packages or nothing. You ask for healing grace. You ask for healing angels. And you don't treat it like you're going to get some kind of Christmas package. Knock it off. You pray as if you recognize this is a holy and sacred universe you're living in. You remember now to take your shoes off on sacred ground. This isn't play school. You wake up again and realize prayers are said with heads low. Because this is a holy and sacred universe. Remind yourself that the sacred and humble go together. And that we owe each other the best of ourselves, whether in the privacy of our thoughts or when we meet each other on the street. It matters. It makes a difference. The slightest, and you don't know, what if I looked at you on the street and did this? That's all it would take. All it would take to get you, to gut you. And watch, or this. A loving smile. I don't even have to say a word. That's all it would take. That's how much power you have. So don't kid yourself. Make the effort to give someone the most sacred part of you. And then hold the position that you are healing the whole with everything you have. Don't ever tell yourself you don't have any power to make a difference. Don't lie to yourself. Respect the power of your soul enough to never let yourself off the hook, ever. And then remind yourself of one of the most sacred prayers. Get up every morning and say these prayers. Hover over me, God, because this day of my life will never come again.